Please welcome Michelle Vellacott, Customer Support Director at Motability Operations, and David Fairbairn, Managing Director of Callum Designs, to the stage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for the clap. We do appreciate it, David and I,
absolutely.
definitely.
Thank you very much.
We're here to talk to you today about electric wheelchair accessible vehicles. It's a bit of a mouthful, so David and I will refer to them as WAVs through this presentation, but I also know that lots of customers fondly call them WAVs, so we might use a bit of both of those. So just for your information, I am Michelle Vellacott. I am the Customer Support Director at Motability Operations. I've been there for 24 years, so a long, long time now, and looked after various areas, but I now head up all things specialised products, so that's both the powered wheelchair and scooter scheme and the wheelchair accessible vehicle scheme along with the adaptations. And I'm going to introduce, this is David.
Hi, I'm David Fairbairn. I'm the Managing Director at Callum, a design and engineering firm based in Warwickshire, so very local to here. In my past, I've worked at companies such as Jaguar Land Rover, Lotus, Nissan, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today to share with you what we've been doing at Callum and what we've been doing with Motability and all the research and stuff like that.
And we've been working together as a partnership for over a year now, coming up for 18 months. So this is a long time in the making, and there's going to be a lot more years in terms of making this concept vehicle become a reality. So we just want to share the story and how we've arrived at this point in time. So for those of you that don't know very much about our wheelchair accessible vehicle scheme, we have just over 34,000 customers, and that will also include customers who are in a drive from wheelchair vehicle, and also we've got some bespoke passenger vehicles as well. So it's for our very most important customers on the Motability scheme. So it's a small scheme, but very important customers. We are at Motability Operations on your behalf because obviously you take delivery of these vehicles and you lease them through us. We purchase about 70% of all wheelchair accessible vehicles throughout the UK every year. So we're a very large part of the WAV industry. And we work with about 11 to 12 WAV converters across the UK, all of which are here today. So they have all of their vehicles or a selection of their vehicles on display. So please do make the most of the opportunity that's available to you here. We're specifically going to talk about eWAVs, and we have 12 eWAVs on the scheme today, so very small compared to our car scheme, which is over 50,000. And we've got 16 on order. So some of our customers have started that eWAV journey, and we hope to invite more people to start that EV journey with us over the coming years, because as we know, electric vehicles are the future. Thank you. So, why did we want to start a project with Callum on this one? As you can see in the hall here today, there's lots of EV cars, and there's more and more coming. And there's more planned for various years going forward. So what we needed to do is make sure that actually wheelchair accessible vehicles are thought of as much as cars are. So lots of the car manufacturers are thinking about it, designing EVs, so they've got all of that in hand. But what we did find is for the vehicles that are used for WAVs, typically manufacturers are not thinking about how you can make that into an EV, and also think about how you convert that for a WAV vehicle. So what we wanted to do was to make sure that we've got a solution for the future. The big challenge for us is in a small WAV, and over 50% of our customers take a small WAV today. And the reason why it's more difficult in a small WAV than it is in a medium or large is because where the converter cuts the floor and lowers it is where the electric battery is kept. So we needed to come up with a solution as to how we can get around that problem. And also at the same time, not only did we want to make sure that we created that solution for you, we also wanted to make sure that we started to think about some of the design features that we could put into those vehicles that would mean that actually the journey would be more comfortable. So we've put a significant investment into this project. We've worked with Callum, and as part of this, we have introduced a concept vehicle called the eVITA. So David, why did Callum want to get involved in this project with us?
Well, so as I said at the start, we are a design and engineering firm. We work quite heavily with the OEMs. We have a team of around 40 to 50 people, and literally we can, from a sketch on a piece of paper, we can engineer it and then make a concept or a low volume prototype that helps showcase the potential future for what an eWAV could be. And a little bit about Callum is what gets us out of bed is just that challenge, and learning all about the Motability Scheme, learning about the community, what are the things that excite you for the future. We want to take that on board and we put that into this concept. So that's a little bit about Callum and what we're trying to achieve with this concept that we're going to showcase to you later on in the year.
And at Motability Operations, we do lots and lots of things, but we don't design cars and we don't make them. So we needed help with this, and that's why we asked Callum to do that for us. If we didn't do anything at Motability Operations and invested the money that we've chosen to do, potentially there wouldn't be any suitable small eWAVs. Now the great news is that some of our converters today have already started on that small eWAV journey, and we've got 4 models on the scheme today that you can choose from, but obviously what we've got to do is change all of our small WAVs to eWAVs in the future. So we needed to work with converters and with manufacturers to make sure that we've got a solution for the future. Because if we don't do that, there won't be any options for eWAVs in that small category where really we haven't solved that electric battery problem and then thought about those design features. And I've talked to a number of customers who have a WAV with us, and the freedom and the independence it gives you is absolutely critical. So quite often people say it's not about what it looks like, it's the fact that I can get out and about every day, and obviously we want to be able to maintain that and that have a really smooth transition into EV.
Can I just add on to that? In recent times there's been a bit of let's call it a bit of a backlash on electrification. You can see it in the various media stuff. I can assure you that electrification is coming. The OEMs are putting billions of pounds and dollars into their future platforms, and it's our job to raise awareness so that they don't think of Motability as an afterthought. They think of it at the forefront, and that's the whole point of this project. We're here to start raising awareness because the converters are doing such a great job to keep people in vehicles, but we need the OEMs to help us. And so the whole point of this is to just, in some ways, push the problem to them and get them so that we can pull them in and get them to engage more for the future. So what we've been doing is first raising awareness with the various images that you'll see later on, and then we've been taking some of the intense research that the Motability team have done, plus ourselves, with interviewing clients and converters and getting all that information, and then giving it to the design team to then come up with the ultimate features. And that's what we're going to be showcasing in this concept. Okay. So what did the customers tell us? The main thing for me on this, and I'm sure Michelle, you can take through the results, but the main thing was people want a small to medium-sized eWAV. They don't want a massive, large vehicle. They'd like a small eWAV. So that was probably the biggest key for me to take away. And so the vehicle that we're creating is we take a donor car, the likes of a Vauxhall e-Combi size, and we use that as a donor vehicle to help us give that concept of size. Is there anything you wanted to talk about the various?
So all I would say is when Callum came to us, they asked us all about our WAV customers, and we could give them data on our WAV customers because we hold all of your information, but we couldn't necessarily say what you thought and what you would want from a future WAV. So So what we did with Callum is then do some research and some customer clinics where we invited some customers in, so that actually, rather than us designing what we think you want, we took on board the feedback that we got from some of the customers that represented the WAV community. And what did they tell us, David?
Well, so that if you just flick a few more on there, Michelle, because you got the design versus functionality, the visibility, lack of storage, and then access in terms of additional features. So the first one I would say is people want inclusive design. They want this thing to look cool, and why shouldn't they? It's a cool product. So we want everybody to be involved in that, and it's going to have a vehicle that has multiple purposes. So that was number one. Visibility was another thing. You know, when you look at a small size vehicle, you want to give as much visibility as possible. So, you know, glass on the roof, a lot of light coming in through the sides. Also the positioning of that glass as well, so that you're not constantly looking on the road and getting motion sickness. You're actually looking out, which is another important thing. Storage, you know, the amount of times people said to us, we want to put stuff everywhere. We want to go away for a weekend, so therefore we want to put certain things in. I've got some sport activities we'd like to do, so that was a really important thing. And then just the whole access and how you get up to sit more further up the vehicle rather than being in the back. That was another one that came about. So these are little snippets of what people told us. There's hundreds of this, so I'll just give you a little snapshot of what people said. And then what we did was we put it down into three words. We talked about, you know, choice. You know, choice is a big thing. Again, I'm gonna bore you by keeping saying this is about raising awareness. Okay, we want the OEMs to create their own features for yourselves. So therefore, because choice is a really important thing. People love brands, and they want to have their various brands, their mobility vehicles, but they love a Fiat, or they love a Peugeot, or they love a Ford, or whatever, and all those great brands. So choice is really important. Flexibility, how can you adapt that vehicle for your situation? So that's really important. And then that personalization type of thing, just people want to shout about their vehicle. That's a huge part of the market in automotive, is how can I make it mine? And that's really important. So these are these top 10 features came in. Some of them are very, very, very easy to implement. Like, for example, just having multiple HVAC zones, so you know you can adjust the temperature in the back as well as the front. Improved visibility, the tailgate, how that ramp can be a bit reduced and not so severe. Additional, just simple stuff like USB ports and cup holders and all the stuff that you would get in the front. Why can't you have it in the rear? It's really important. Increased storage, making it look really appealing to yourselves. And then that whole sort of integrated seatbelt and restraint system in the floor is certain features that came out that we looked at. So and then these were sort of like the top 5 and the top thumbs up and the top thumbs down of the features. So such as, you know, the functionality of the wheelchair user, the space, the comfort. We've got if you go after this presentation, if you go back into the sort of innovation bit, you'll see a foam model. It's one of many that we created to try and simulate that storage in the back. It's one of the various processes we do to just explain, to find out if it's how it feels, how is it easy to use, etc. And then rear HVAC controls. The top down were like things such as lack of storage. The ramp was heavy and difficult to operate. The seatbelt positions, where were they in the row 2? The lack of HVAC controls. Some of the stuff that we take for granted in the front that should be in the back as well. So
we took all of that.
We took all of that.
And then, along with the guys back at your factory, you designed the eVITA, which we're now going to have a look at.
Yeah.
So the eVITA is a concept vehicle. So I have to make it really clear, as customers, you can't go and order one of these today. It doesn't exist. It is a concept. It is a design of what a future eWAV could look like. And either through improvements of what the manufacturers produce or what the converters can add to the vehicle when they get it from those manufacturers. Because one thing that we did find through the research is one size does not fit all. Every customer has their own bespoke needs. So a converter will be always very, very important in making sure that any eWAV that's delivered meets the needs of that individual customer. So yeah, our concept vehicle is the eVITA. So David, what were some of the great features that you've put into this vehicle?
Well, first of all, just have a moment to have a look at this product. You know, look at the stance of the product, the wheel-to-body relationship. We talk about that stance of a vehicle is really important. I personally think it's a beautiful thing. It's got great proportions. It's got great stance. And if you move on in some of the slides, you can see some of the features. So you'll see a little key at the bottom right-hand corner that says must-haves and nice-to-haves, because we got so much input, which is a credit to the various converters and customers that give us that feedback. And we had to break it down into what is the must-have features that people want. Oh, you're going too fast, Michelle.
I'm not pressing any buttons.
If we can come back.
No. I don't know where my slides have gone.
That's it. So first, I remember in the slides there was the front and rear chargers.
Sorry, our slides have gone to pot now.
All right, so if you click next one.
It doesn't want to play.
It doesn't want to play, right. So front and rear chargers, it's really important. That was one that came out in big, bold writing. Because some people need access to the front, and it's difficult to get out of the rear. The other one was the tailgate, and how that can, like a split tailgate, it can open up to allow massive ease of introduction, access in and out. And then the third one as well, if you were eager to see the spot, one of the features I love is that projected image to communicate to the other users that we need space to get that user out. If you go to if you can click in, you'll see it in the back. If you go to the next one.
I'm worried the video is going to play again.
Right. So, and also the glass house that promotes that airiness and that light into the vehicle, and then obviously the accessible door opening button that allows for ease of access and the side entry. Next slide. So you talk about the tailgate as well. And then the reconfigured battery, just a little bit about that for a second. So we've taken an OEM's battery, which has obviously got humps and bumps in it, and what we've done is we've tried to flatten it as much as possible. And the reason to do that is to lower the floor. If you lower the floor, you reduce the severity of the angle, the approach angle. And the reason we've done that is we've taken an OEM battery, we're reconfiguring it, we're retesting it, and then we're going to give it the test results back to the OEMs to say, this does work. So why can't we get that battery that we can give to the likes of the converters so they can help improve and lower that floor? That's really important. You can spot at the bottom right-hand corner that projection of the image that goes on the outside to just warn other people that we need access to get to get in and out of the vehicle. Really important. Next slide. And then on the interior, so some of the simple stuff that we talked about, the rear HVAC unit, this utility bar that can be completely configured that allows the user to interact with the front as well. Giving them controls on Apple CarPlay, Spotify, music, HVAC, all of that. Improve the NVH, that stands for noise, vibration, and harshness, to try and improve that journey and give that comfort. The runway that goes up the back, and then the dedicated storage on either side of the vehicle. And again, that most important thing of lowering the floor. That is key, is getting that floor as low as possible. And then the last one. So do you want me to tell you where we're at?
Yeah.
So right now, the vehicle that you see now, what we call that is design freeze. So we've frozen the appearance of that vehicle. The engineers have given the thumbs up that it can be made. And now we're currently in a quite a rapid period of engineering every panel and every feature, getting ready to issue out various purchase orders to suppliers to get all the parts in. We'll start to manufacture this in the next couple of weeks, and we'll then start testing it, and then we'll be displaying it to yourselves this time next year.
Yeah, so just to be really clear, we're just building the concept vehicle. So the plan is to bring that concept vehicle here next year, so you'll be able to look at it and see all of the great designs that David's taken you through. But we're also working now, because actually with that eVITA video that we showed you, it's had really, really, really positive impact on the automotive industry. So we are talking to people, particularly manufacturers, to think about how they can make changes and design some of those features into their future vehicles, particularly the vans that the converters use to convert. So it's definitely opened up some doors, and we're having some very senior conversations with manufacturers to talk about making this a reality. And not just only for the Motability Scheme. Obviously there's lots more disabled people across the UK that can benefit from vehicles with these features, but we're also talking to other global manufacturers where they potentially have an aging population, so they're really interested in this design in vehicle. And one area one country that's really keen to have a look at in more detail is Japan, and then we're also talking with a company in France about making a very similar vehicle as well. So we want you to be able to see this next year, but what we have to do in the meantime is keep working with manufacturers, companies that make parts for car companies, etc., to make sure that actually they start to think about this and start to introduce it into their vehicles. So this is going to be a long, slow burn to get there, but hopefully in years to come, you will see an improvement in the base vehicles that the converters use to be able to make the WAV vehicles that you take today. As I say, the converter is really instrumental in making sure that they then meet your individual needs and make it bespoke to you. So, just to leave you on the note, we will be back in 2025, so do please come and look out for us. And you can go inside the vehicle and look at it in much more detail. So keep an eye out for it. So we'll see you in 2025. I don't know whether we have any questions or got any time for any questions. No, they're shaking their heads at me.
We want it now.
I knew that would happen, and that's why I have to say it's a concept vehicle. It's a design. And do you know what? We know that a lot of people want it now. And it's great that we've got the automotive industry interested as well, because obviously there's something in the designs that have been created by Callum that makes everyone interested.
The thing that everybody can do is just to promote it and push it out so that everybody sees it. That's the important thing, is because we've got to get the attention of the OEMs to take note, because they are as much to help with this new transition into electrification, and they need to support us, and that's what we're here to do.
So thank you very much for coming to listen to us. I wasn't sure that anybody would, so it was great to see so many of you. And as I say, all of the converters are here today, so go and have a look at all of the WAVs on offer, and have a look at the eVITA design information in more detail back on the innovation stand. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming. Oh, look at that.
On time. Yeah?